Our law professor, Dr. Rueban, who has taught law on 3 different continents, breaks down the most important things you need to know about the differences between high school and college and university writing. The better way to better grades, the wise way.
In this video, I'm going to talk about one of the most difficult things about writing an essay at university, how you develop a thesis. So what's a thesis? A thesis is the major claim that you want to make and defend in your essay. I have students who come to me who write an essay that contains no thesis and no argument, and they fail because all they've done is summarize the material. A university level essay requires that you make an argument. That is, you make a case in defense of a particular claim. So how do we develop a thesis statement or a claim that we can defend in the essay? The most common way to do this is to ask yourself, do I agree or disagree with something that an author in a book or an article may have said, and to write an essay about that. That's usually just a starting point. What we want at the university level is to be more specific. A good essay is one that makes one particular point in defense of a certain thesis. And instead of trying to agree or disagree, what we look for instead are things like contradictions. Does the author say things that are contradictory? Perhaps they said X in chapter 1, and they said something that contradicts X in chapter 5. Is the author being ambiguous? When the author makes a particular claim, is that claim easy to understand, or could that claim mean 3 or 4 different things? An essay might just be an attempt to try to identify an ambiguity. Yet another example of a thesis is where the author is making certain kinds of assumptions, but never follows through to explain whether or not those assumptions make sense. So what you will write about in your essay, your thesis will be to identify and analyze the plausibility of these assumptions. The point here is that when you develop a thesis, that's going to be the foundation to you showing critical thinking in your essay. So how do we come up with a thesis statement? We start to come up with a thesis statement when we do the close reading, when we take notes, and we identify difficulties in the text. And we've got a video there on close reading and note-taking as well. But if that's not going to be good enough, again, we rely on secondary resources and secondary research, perhaps internet research. Often when we're reading material for class, there will be heavy discussion about that material online. And you'll see people offering different critical perspectives. You can use those critical perspectives as a starting point to develop your own thesis. Now, if all else fails, of course, you should see your professors. You should approach your professors with perhaps some questions you might have about the reading and the material, and try to articulate your own instincts about whether or not you agree with the material, you disagree with the material, or where you're not sure. Often when you try to understand why you think what you think, and you try to set that out for your professor, they can help you to identify a thesis that you can develop in your essay. I hope you found this video useful, and hopefully this demystifies how you might start to develop a thesis for your essay.